and welcome back to Cloud Tech Quest. It's been a minute. It's been a very long time since I've last uploaded a video or any content. So I wanted to hop on today and just go through a very quick demo on OpenID federated credentials and its use cases. So in this demo, I have my source code in GitHub. We're going to be leveraging GitHub Actions. And our targeted cloud provider is, of course, going to be Azure. So traditionally, when you wanted to deploy to Azure via, let's say, GitHub, you would create something in Azure called a service principal, which will generate a client secret. And you would need to store that secret in GitHub. Now, the problem with that is secrets expire, they can leak, and someone has to remember to rotate them. So the benefit when it comes to OpenID federated credentials, it solves this by removing the secret entirely. So you don't have to manage secrets anymore. Instead, Azure will trust GitHub directly, and GitHub will issue a short-lived token proving, hey, this is really a run from my specific repo or workflow, and Azure validates that token on the fly before granting access. Now, there's no stored secrets, nothing to rotate. It's very, very secure, less operational overhead, and honestly, not much harder to set up than the old way. So this has become the recommended approach for CI/CD pipelines deploying to any cloud provider. So we'll get started here in a bit, but yeah, we're just going to go through a very, very quick demonstration of how we would create um, our federated credentials in Azure, what that looks like in GitHub, and also just do a very small deployment, just ensuring everything is set up correctly and we're able to deploy resources over into our Azure subscription. So stay tuned. Hey folks, so we are going to get started on the configuration on the Azure side of the house as well as our GitHub config. Should be pretty quick and easy for us. Um, but yeah, the end goal is to get a set of federated credentials set up that we'll leverage in GitHub for our GitHub Actions, so we can get our infrastructure deployed via Bicep. So let's get started. So you'll see here in the Azure portal, I am under app registrations. You can do this manually, but I have a very quick PowerShell script that I will just copy and paste here, and I'll throw it at the bottom of the video as well as the post. But yes, this will essentially get our app registration and service principal all created for us. So the application or the app registration name is going to be ctqinspire, which is the application, and then GitHub Actions-prod. Don't come at me for the naming convention. This is a demo. Name it however you want. That's that. All right, so let's get started. Cool. So looks like that went through and it is here. Awesome. So if I look under certificates and secrets, we're not worried about that. Same for client secrets. This is what we're aiming for, the federated credentials, and you'll notice that we do not have any credentials set up. So what I'm going to do is I have another set of commands that I'm going to run, and I'll go through this here in a second, but perfect. So our federated credentials went through just fine. I believe I am going to have to refresh. Let's see if I'll need to do that. Yeah, it's just going to take a little bit. All right. So certificates and secrets, you'll see that we have GitHub federated cred prod here. And if we open this, you'll see that we have our GitHub organization. The organization ID I did not supply. We have our repo name, GitHub repo ID, that was not supplied. And then the entity type. So depending on your CI/CD process or model, this will change. This can change. You have either branch, pull request, tag. In my case, I'm just going with environment because with my Bicep configuration, I have different environments such as dev, test, prod. So it's just easy to have the type as environment. And then based on the selection, I have prod. So I'm not worrying about dev or test in this demo, it's just prod. Um, and then of course the name that we gave it here, which is GitHub federated cred prod. So we are almost done with our Azure configuration. The last thing that we have to do is we must grant this application access to our Azure subscription. So if I go to my subscription, I'm going to add a role assignment. I will grant this contributor access. And let me find that there. Cool. All right. So we are set. Cool. Now, we'll go over to the GitHub portion. Let's go here. So within my GitHub org, I have my repo, ctqinspire. You'll notice that I'm using environments. There's only one environment, which is prod. There was dev and test, but this is just a demo. And within this environment, I have two environment secrets that I'm actually passing via my YAML or my GitHub Actions pipeline. So I have my Azure subscription, and then my Azure tenant ID. We also will need the Azure client ID, which is the app registration that we just created. So I'll copy that, and I am going to add an environment secret as Azure underscore client underscore ID, and I'll paste the value there. All right, cool. So now that we have that all set, we're going to go down to secrets and variables, and we'll look at our actions. And you see we have 3 environment secrets for my my prod environment. I wanted to go through the code or the Bicep code. So let's share that here. Oops. Let's go ahead and get you all. Well, you are not able to see that here, but no worries. Let's just view that from our repo here. So I'll go back to my repo. Let's go to GitHub. All right. So you'll see that in my my YAML pipeline here, we have just a workflow dispatch. So this is a manual trigger, and we'll select the target environment. So like I mentioned previously, there's an option for dev, test, and prod. In this case, it's only prod, and it's just very basic configuration deployment script here. Now, my Bicep code is here. I'm just deploying Azure Container Registry, some container apps, container app environment, some monitoring tools or resources, and just the network. So the VNet, subnets, network security groups, all that good stuff. And we're using Azure Verified modules for that. Now, environments. I wanted to call this out. So being that this should be easily repeatable and deployable, I have my 3 environments here. So I'm only targeting prod, but you get the gist here. So just wanted to cover that. So let's go to our settings and ensure, let me just do a double check here. We have our client ID, we have our subscription ID, and our tenant ID. Perfect. So now that we have that set up, what I want to do is under actions, I want to trigger this GitHub action. So under run workflow, we're just going to go ahead and select our main branch. We only have one branch here in this demo. And then our target environment is going to be prod. And let's go ahead and run the workflow. So I'll give that a minute or so to bake in, and I'll check back in. Alrighty, folks. So we are back, and you can see that the GitHub action deployed successfully. No, there's no errors or anything like that. So if we come back to our Azure portal, look at our Azure subscription, you'll see that it created the resource groups as well as all of the underlying resources from our Bicep code. So you'll see the container apps environment, container registry, some logging, like logging analytics in Azure Monitor, and some network related resources such as NAT Gateway, VNet, NSG, that type of stuff. So that is basically it. So we're able to deploy some Azure resources or some resources into Azure using OpenID Connect federated credentials. Um, so it's a heck of a lot better than using service principals with manual secrets that expire and you have to rotate constantly. So um, this is the recommended approach by Microsoft. So it's a very quick and easy demonstration or demo today. So I just hope this was helpful for anyone. And yeah, I'm really going to try to push out more content. I know I said that last video, just been so busy the past few months. So appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and just stay tuned for more content. See you all.